Hello YouTube, I'm Toby and today I am building a very powerful budget PC. Now for this particular build I chose the Modcom DPU case. For my motherboard I chose the Lenovo IS6XM. The CPU and the RAM, the hard disk drive, all came in an old Lenovo ThinkCentre M85. And the CPU is an Intel i3 2100 dual core clocked at 3.1 GHz. The RAM, I have 8 GB of DDR3 clocked at 1333 MHz. The hard disk drive is a 300 GB hard disk drive. For my power supply I decided to go with the MSTech 350 watt power supply. And for a GPU I chose the NVIDIA GTX 260. Now building this system was not that difficult. The only issues I had was that the front panel connectors, the USB connectors and such, didn't exactly match the IS6XM motherboard. So I had to go look up some schematics online and I think I may have gotten the correct configuration. Now when I first applied some power to the system, it automatically started up. I found this kind of weird. First off, I decided to go into the BIOS just to make sure that my RAM and CPU were detected, and as it turns out they were. And this system booted up into Linux, Ubuntu 16.04 I think. But I later changed this to Windows 10 just for ease of benchmarking. Now the funny thing is that when I turned the system off, it would stay off for a couple seconds and then it would turn right back on again. I went back into the system just to see if I had screwed something up. I disconnected the reset switch and this seemed to fix the problem. Now once I was done installing Windows 10 and I had installed the NVIDIA GTX 260 drivers, I was ready to do some benchmarking. And my first benchmark was the Cinebench R15. Now this i3 performed quite well. I was actually very happy with the result of 267 points. I expected less and I am positively surprised that I got this many points. The next test I decided to run was a Firmark Preset 720p. During this test the system seemed to run quite well and we ended with a score of 1226. Also once again a score I'm very happy about. Now next I decided to run the Resident Evil 6 benchmarking tool, which is free in Steam. And the system ran very well. In the beginning it was running around 60 frames per second. During the test it did have some dips down into the high 20s, but it ended with a score of 5583, which is playable on this machine. Next I decided to test out Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I was seeing a frame rate of between 100 and 200 FPS here. The settings, I'll show the settings right here in a minute, but as you can see they are about medium to high. You'll have to excuse my poor playing here. I failed to set the mouse sensitivity to something I could work with, and I figured since I had already started filming I might as well just run with it as it is. I also decided to test out Nordica. I set the settings to the low preset, as you can see here, and I was running at 35 to 80 frames per second. It seemed that it was underwater in some of the heavier graphical areas, that it would drop to 35 frames per second, but once I stuck my head over water it would jump up to 80 frames per second. Still a very playable game on this system. Now just for kicks I wanted to see if I could get PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds to run, but it did not want to run on this machine, sadly enough. But how much did I pay for this system? Well, the case is new and it cost about $17 US. The power supply was new and it cost around $29 US. The M85 ThinkCentre I used to butcher out into this machine I paid 350 crowns for, which is roughly $55 US. The GPU itself I got as part of a very cheap hardware bundle, and I have already sold out enough of the bundle and fixed the stuff in there and sold it out so that I actually made the money back again. So in my case the GTX 260 was actually free. and this brings our total up to 101 US dollars. So a very capable and very cheap gaming PC. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching.